Friends, you're asking me for my analysis on the recent Brown and Bondi shootings. Yes, they are beyond absurd. And that's how you pronounce it, Bondi, not to be confused with Pam Bondi, although I will be covering that a little bit later in the show as well. Keep in mind that these are breaking stories, so more information might have been released by the time you're watching this, which I am broadcasting on December 15th, 2025. Before I dive in, take a look at this video from CBS News of a witness to the Brown incident. I'm just going to call it the incident or the event from here on out. We first see the green screen with the, I'm sorry, I can't stop laughing, friends, with the reporter, and then we're going to break away to the news anchor, and he's going to bring in this witness. How they find the witnesses, I don't know. Friends, I want you to be sure to look at her facial expressions and also what it is she is saying. Does her story add up?
All right, I want to bring in Sophia Holman. She's a Brown University student who was studying in the engineering building when she heard the gunshots. Sophia, first of all, thank you for joining us. And before we even start talking about what happened, I want to know how you are doing. How are you holding up this morning?
Yeah, good morning, Vlad. Thank you for checking in. I'm doing all right. I'm currently back in California. So like a lot of people at Brown, I left Rhode Island. And I'm in California now. So
before we continue, I just have to say, look at the trauma in her eyes. She's visibly shaken. She's devastated. She can barely keep it together. How dare the media subject this poor young woman to recounting her fake scripted story on national media? No wonder she's so worried and can barely remember her lines. Give her a break, friends. Acting is hard.
So, okay, I'm glad you're feeling better. I'm glad your family knows that you're safe and that you're with them, I'm guessing. Your call to 911 was among one of the very first reported. Can you tell us what you saw and what you heard on Saturday?
Yeah, so I was coming from a late lunch with my boyfriend and one of my friends. I walked into the building like I do almost every day to go study.
Yes, that's exactly the expression you're going to have on your face when you just got through a narrow life and death incident. It's absolutely stunning.
The first thing that I felt when I walked in was actually a sense of disappointment because I walked in a door that one of my teammates usually studies in, and she wasn't there. And so, I was walking around, I was looking for a classroom. I was opening doors to classrooms, just trying to see if any of them were open. When I first heard the gunshots, I think like most college students, the first thing that I didn't think of was that they actually were gunshots. The first thing I thought was, oh, this is a physics experiment gone wrong. This is a wood shop. This is anything but this.
Okay, I just have to stop there for a second, friends. This is absolutely mind-boggling that they allowed this to air. And that's exactly the expression you're going to have when you narrowly escaped a life and death situation. I will leave a link for you for this video so you can watch the entire thing. But it is just to set the stage because I really don't even need to go much further into the story, just looking at these witnesses. Now, you might say, well, Peggy, the media is so eager to keep the story going that they'll provide their own witnesses. It doesn't mean that the event didn't happen. Well, I suppose that is possible. I mean, this witness, like the dozens and dozens I've exposed in previous events, is obviously coached. This is not the way that a person is going to speak after they had a narrow escape with death. How did the media find this person? Who arranged the interview? Did the distraught witness call the news channel? It doesn't add up. But then again, these stories never do. More likely is that the entire thing is staged, meaning no deaths, Not that I wouldn't put it past the powers that shouldn't be to kill people in order to further their evil agendas, but in most cases, these incidents look absolutely manufactured. Now, the sad thing is, many people will not even realize that this girl's reaction, her emotions, and her facial expressions are completely inappropriate for the situation at hand. That's because for years, the media has bombarded the general public with laughing, smiling, dry eyed witnesses and victims of loved ones, like we've seen in the Eric Kirk incident. So many people no longer even realize that what they are seeing are actors performing a role and performing it badly too. I've done many, did I say many? Videos showing the smiling fake witnesses, the duper's delight, as I call it. I mean, come on, man. Is this the face, the expression, the words, the demeanor of someone who just went through a harrowing life or death experience? I'm far more upset and shaken just telling my husband about a horrible driver that cut me off in traffic. It takes me a while to calm down from that. I don't even really need to go any further into the story to conclude that yet again, the media is presenting us with more fake, phony, and fraudulent events designed to tear at your heartstrings and make you eagerly call for increased gun control, increased surveillance, increased restrictions on speech, and so much more. But luckily, most of my healthy Americans can see exactly what is going on here. Many of you told me that you woke up to the fake, phony, and fraudulent bang bang events back on December 14th. Yes, interesting the date, isn't it? That was back in 2012 when the extraordinarily poorly produced Shady Nook saga unfolded. It was as if the powers that shouldn't be purposely broadcast an event that had so many holes in it, so many poor actors, and so many absurd storylines that only those who weren't paying attention or those who were blinded by their emotions would fall for it. Just a glance at any headlines will tell you that the media promotes fear and terror. So we're going to look at the Brown University event, and then we're going to be looking at the Pam Bondi Beach Blanket Bingo event. Yes, that's what I'm calling it. First of all, Brown. We're told that one of the witnesses, Mia Tretta, if that's even her real name, was a survivor of a previous school shooting in Saugus, California in 2019. Hey, what a quinky dink. It's the same thing with another student, Zoe Weissman, a very wise man, of course. And what are the chances? Wise man, we were told, was also in the fake Parkland incident here in Florida. Well, let's take a look at Mia's reactions when she's talking about the Brown incident. And the story that I'm sharing with you here says that Mia is distraught. Yes, take a look for yourself at the face of someone who is distraught. And I'll have a link for you if you want to watch that short clip. It's really quite astonishing. That's exactly how you're going to look after the devastatingly traumatic experience of a second time almost having your life taken from you. Her words do not match her expressions, or I should say her expressions do not match her words. She is demonstrating the duper's delight perfectly. Yet still there will be people who argue with me that say, Peggy, everybody experiences trauma differently. Yes, they do. But the thing is, Mia has not experienced any trauma at all. She looks like she can't wait to cash in another big fat paycheck. Now, in true prepared talking point style, Mia says in the article, gun violence doesn't care if you've already been shot before, and it doesn't care what community you're in, she said. It's an epidemic that touches every single community. Mia now feels a mixture of fear, confusion, and anger. Americans, she says, shouldn't accept mass shootings as a fact of life. Oh, yes, that's exactly how a college student speaks, perfectly scripted to push the gun violence agenda. Because you know how violent guns are, just like cars. Cars are so reckless. They're always getting into crashes. It's not about reckless drivers, it's about reckless cars. Now, here's a picture of Mia in 2019 after the cough, cough, the other incident in California. She looks pretty happy, but not as happy as the doc, who seems thrilled to get his picture in the paper. We are told that Mia has lots of shrapnel from the gunshots in her belly, and something's wrong with her ear. Yes, it really looks like she's a person who went through all of that, doesn't it? Well, let's take a look at a few more images from the Brown event. And here, I don't know if you can make it out, but they've got people, innocent people, students, being conditioned to put their hands up. Wait, don't shoot. Hey, it reminds me of when you're at the airport, you know, people that go into that cancer booth that radiates you with cancer screening radiation. That's what they want you to do. Stop, don't shoot. I only wanted to fly to Akron. Yeah, and now you get the privilege of paying even more if you don't have a real ID. I'll cover that in another story. Here are more images to condition you to believe that blocking off the streets and going door to door for a gunman on the loose, nothing to see here, folks. Just government-inflicted terror on the population to scare them into giving up their freedom. Reminds me of the Charlie Kirk incident where they went door to door looking for the alleged shooter. Oh, I showed you those images of the smiling faces of the people that were so thrilled that the police could come and just forget the Fourth Amendment and do an illegal search in your home. And of course, people go along with it, you know, all in the name of safety and security. Let's not forget what the book of Thessalonians tells us. That's when sudden destruction befalls us, when others are saying, don't worry, this is all for peace and safety. Well, the media is in on it as usual. Take a look at the obvious green screens being used here. Here, again, the smiling witness, obviously not traumatized from the event at all. Let's take a look. Speaking of smiling, let's take a look at the mayor, Brett Smiley. Now, on Wednesday, friends, I'm going to have a deep dive for you on how I do my research when these events present themselves. And one of the things I do is a deep dive on the main characters in the play. So Brett Smiley is pretty much a hardcore leftist, and he is fiercely against anyone criticizing Israel. He formed a multi-city board to fight anti-Semitism. I guess somebody should break it to Mayor Smiley that Arabs are Semites also. So maybe he needs to change that to saying anti-Zionism or anti-Jewish. That might be more accurate. And he bets that the lone gunman in the Brown incident will turn out to be a Muslim or at least anti-Jewish. Here you have it. Mayors form new multi-city board to fight anti-Semitism, October 9th, just 2 years after the very real and unstaged, not AI at all, event of October 7th, 2023 in Israel. And I did a deep breakdown on that. YouTube did not like those videos whatsoever, so you might have to just read my Substacks for all of the details there. But here, you've got the Combat Anti-Semitism Movement. How do you like them apples? And it launched its Mayor's Advisory Board, bringing together local officials from across North America committed to combating anti-Semitism and building more united communities. Friends, communities, they might as well just say communism. That's why they keep using that phrase. The mayor of Providence, Rhode Island, where Brown University is this Brett Smiley, and he's the chairman of this inaugural cohort of mayors. Now, he says that he wants to be broadening the mission to empower municipalities as first responders in the fight against taking away your free rights to think and your free rights to speak. What do you mean, Peggy? It's anti-Semitism. Well, that means you can't have an opinion about how you feel about certain people. Is that the kind of community you want to live in, friends? Guess who else is on this inaugural Mayor's Advisory Board? I want you to take a look at these cities because maybe another incident, another bang bang incident is coming to you. Well, there you've got it. Mayor Margaret Brown in Weston, Florida. Mayor Alex DeSolme in North Miami, Florida. And here's a couple more in Florida. Mayor Larissa Svechin, Sunny Isles Beach, and Mayor Howard Weinberg. I'm not going to conclude anything about Howard other than he is from Aventura, Florida. Now, why are there so many cities in Florida on this anti-Semitism board? Well, you might say because there are a lot of Jewish people living in Florida, but I think it's because there are so many gun owners in Florida, and Florida has one of the least restrictive states when it comes to gun ownership. So these events are happening in places where they want to take away your right to protect yourself. Now, Mayor Smiley said, in the face of rising anti-Semitism nationwide, I'm proud that the Combat Anti-Semitism movement is calling on local leaders to come together to protect our neighbors and build stronger, more welcoming, communitarian, communistic communities across the country. Providence's Jewish neighbors have increasingly felt targeted and divided by the surge of anti-Semitism. And my administration has worked tirelessly to ensure that Providence continues to be the welcoming, inclusive city it is known to be. So you see, friends, I'm going to predict that this event is going to be connected to anti-Semitism. Again, that would be anti-Jewishness or anti-Zionism, because Semites include Arabs. So I'm just wondering if there will be any so-called anti-Semitic incidents in any of the places listed here. Oh, look, Smiley is also bankrolled by Everytown for gun safety. Now, come on, man. Here you've got mayors against illegal guns. And here you've got Mayor Brett Smiley, who says, I'm proud to share that our investments in public safety staffing are working. I made a promise 2 years ago to enact strategies that reduce violent crime and return a sense of safety to our neighbors. Last year, we removed over 300, note the numbers, illegal guns from our streets. Oh, I bet you did, Smiley. Nothing to smile at here, friends. Let's see. To take away your guns wants to take away your freedom of belief, because you are not allowed to believe and to think about people only the way that the government tells you that you can think about people. You are not allowed to have an opinion about others. Let's take a look at another actor in this play, and that is the Brown University president. She's connected to the New World Disorder Council on Foreign Relations. And wouldn't you know it, she's a staunch promoter of the DEI initiatives. Yes, that's where freedom goes to DIE, die. So President Christina Paxson, she has gained international attention for her campus-wide effort to develop pathways to diversity and inclusion. She started that back way in 2016. She's been the principal investigator and paid by the government, by the National Institutes of Health. And she has co-authored numerous journal articles on public health. Yes, friends, she established a school of public health at Brown University. And as I say, she served and is a member of the Council on Foreign Relations, which is another New World Disorder organization, very disorganized, wanting to take away your freedoms. Interestingly, Paxson earns $3.1 million, interesting numbers there, as the university president. Well, I've said it before and I'll say it again, friends, some people are willing to do anything for money. Now, during the COVID, I think that's how it's pronounced, Paxson strictly enforced vaccinations, contact tracing, testing, standing 6 feet apart, masking, the whole kit and caboodle. She was full on into the hogwash. And she said, you know, we need to keep our students safe. Well, looky here, as far back as 2013, Paxson also has been a promoter of taking away your guns. She promoted a campus discussion on gun violence. Friends, whenever you see that phrase gun violence, it reminds me of, oh, I don't know, vaccine safety. It's a calling card. It's a phrase. It's intended to get in your brain like one of those earworms where you keep hearing it over and over and over, and you associate guns with violence instead of guns with protection. Guns are there to protect you so you can protect yourself, your family, your property. Because if the bad guys get the guns, and by the bad guys, I mean the government, shouldn't you have guns too? Or are they not violent in the hands of the SWAT teams? So this was right after the Shady Nook incident. Christina Paxson sponsored a series of forums that intended to provoke a campus-wide dialogue concerning the causes and prevention of campus shootings. Well, apparently she didn't do a very good job, if you want to take her word for it. The plan represents a stronger response to gun violence from the university than any school shooting has previously provoked. Well, even taking her at her own word, she certainly has done a lousy job. But remember, friends, these tyrants work on the principle of incrementalism. That means they set the stage for their evil deeds over many decades, over many fake incidents, even over centuries. They've been after enslaving you. Now let's look at a couple more images here. In the recent shooting, look at the image that the media chooses to share. All right, this is, I guess you could call it an infinity symbol. It is often hijacked to signal to those in the know. It's used in the occult, in Scientology, in witchcraft, in Satanism, and others. Am I saying that Brown University is involved in any of that? Well, I don't have any evidence that they're not, but I do have evidence that the university selected this image out of all the images that they could show. This is the image that they chose to use in their headline about the Brown shooting. That is significant to me. This also is a symbol that signifies the Ouroboros. I've done a deep dive on this when I covered the Charlie Kirk incident, and it is the snake eating its own tail. As I say, it's used in the occult, in witchcraft, in Satanism, in the hidden societies to signal to those in the know that, in my opinion, that this was staged. Now, let's make a list. We are coming up on the holidays. On Wednesday, I'm going to tell you exactly how and why I do my research into these events. I have a checklist. I have a video I've done previously called How to Spot a PSYOP. I've done videos called Why Would They Do This? How can they all be in on it? And for people that are asking those questions, I have to conclude that they are trolls, because certainly you understand why they are doing it. So let's go through a checklist. All right, we're getting close to the holidays. I'm making a list. I'm checking it twice. Here we go. Does the incident occur near the holidays? Check. Is there terror-induced media coverage? Check. Are there strange names of the victims? Check. Is there a connection to prior mass events? Check. Is the gun control narrative pushed? Big check. Are there suspicious officials such as the mayor, the university president, police chief, etc., how they're involved in it? Check. Unbelievable witnesses, meaning you can't believe them? Check. GoFundMe's already in place? Check. I just want to know where I can get my Brown Strong t-shirt. Have those come on the market yet? I'm telling you, friends, I think I am going to make a shirt that just has a blank line that says strong, and you can fill in the blank with any of the ongoing PSYOPs. Now, here's the strangely spelled name. And of course, this fellow already, or the family is already getting money. Why is that? Don't you know plenty of people that could use money that have had accidents or losses that are not connected to these strange events that are being broadcast on the news? It's so troubling to me that so many snakes are going to come out of the woodwork putting up these fake GoFundMes. Well, I should say they're all fake, but you know what I mean. So without even breaking down every single calling card, such as the dates, the colors, the numbers, there are plenty of numbers here that signify things, names, gestures, symbolism, etc. I can already conclude that this Brown shooting incident does not add up. Well, the only thing that adds up is the money that these actors are being paid to participate in such a sloppy production. I don't really need to dig in anymore. I know that many people are. You probably are going to leave me comments with more interesting clues, but I don't really want to waste any more life energy on that story because I already know the end game. So let's briefly turn our attention to the Pam Bondi Beach incident. Oh, excuse me, it's Bondi Beach. I've actually been to Bondi Beach. I've been to Australia, and it is so sad that that country is quickly and has been ever since the cooties hogwash days, has been becoming more and more prison-like. I guess that's interesting since the country, we are told, was founded by prisoners that they sent from the United Kingdom. Anyhow, the evildoers love to leave little calling cards and tells, as I say. One thing they do is they do a play on words. So think about, before we get into the incident, let me just set the stage for you. So think about this the digital currency is being called CBDC because people already were familiar, many people were familiar with the prior term CBD used in oils and creams and supplements, etc. So, you kind of accept the new phrase with almost an unconscious familiarity. Think back to the ISIS terrorist group. Well, we already had the acronym ISS in place for the International Space oh, excuse me, that always brings a little chuckle here. The International Space Station. So now that kind of closely resembles the American-created terror organization called ISIS. Yes, yes, the government has to create a boogeyman. Otherwise, who would they fight? And of course, BLM used to stand for Bureau of Land Management, familiar to people who know they can camp and even use their bang-bangs on the BLM lands for free. But now BLM has been usurped into Black Lives Matter. So the point I'm making is when it came to the latest incident in Australia, I thought, the powers that shouldn't be are like, why not select Pam Bondi Beach for the location? People are already familiar with Bondi, Pam Bondi. Hey, friends, I get it if your brain doesn't work the same way mine does, but those little details seem to just jump out at me. Now, there are already some sleuths on the job analyzing this event, and they've done so quite well. So let me share with you a few salient points that will help you conclude, as I have, that the Pam Bondi Beach Blanket Bingo is nothing more than yet another staged, sensationalized, manufactured, orchestrated event. What I've got here for you is excellent coverage from a page on Instagram called Reality Revolt. And, it's the same old story, friends. Take a look at this image. It's the same Israeli operative who just happened to be on the ground of the totally realistic Israeli incident on October 7th, 2023. And then what are the chances? He just happened to not only be at Pam Bondi Beach, but he was shot in the head, but still able to take a selfie and flag down the media to deliver a very scripted talking points memo. Forget going to the hospital and getting his head wound checked out, but I guess it stopped bleeding because the wrap is not saturated with blood like you think it would be. It's very strange. So take a look at this analysis here.
On est censé croire que cet homme est une victime touchée à la tête.
I got hit in the head. I'm bleeding. I've lost blood.
Mais assez en forme pour faire un beau selfie. Et visiblement, il adore être médiatisé. Toujours au bon endroit, au bon moment.
Walking wounded, Arsen Ostrowski, a survivor of the October 7 massacre in Israel.
I survived October 7th.
J'ai fait des recherches et il n'est pas là par accident. C'est son métier.
It's important to use visuals in order to try and get a point across. I'll give an example here.
Arsène est un ingénieur de narratif.
Every action must have a goal. It must have a compelling story to tell.
Il le dit lui-même, ses actions ont un but précis.
Fight anti-Semitism, to fight this bloodthirsty, ravaging hatred. That's why I'm here.
Le message doit être émotionnel et surtout pas ennuyeux.
You don't want to be dull and boring. No one's going to read that.
Effectivement, avec sa mise en scène, on s'ennuie pas. La veille, on prépare le terrain avec Erika, le 13 décembre.
Charlie and I have always been very clear on our stance, Israel, Jewish people.
Une opération sous faux drapeau, c'est quand on te dit qui regarder, quoi ressentir et quoi penser.
How could you hate the Jewish people?
Avant même que tu aies le temps de réfléchir.
Our daughter was killed because of anti-Semitism.
Pour conditionner émotionnellement le spectateur, faire monter la tension. Le 14, attaque terroriste, le choc, l'urgence morale.
We do not sit by and let these killers kill us.
Everything must change from today.
Et on propose de nouvelles lois pour un changement radical.
Laws need to be passed.
Au nom de la sécurité, on vous enlève encore des libertés.
Anti-Semitism is the biggest threat.
Tout a été orchestré, comme d'habitude. Donc apprenez à reconnaître les patterns.
Okay, friends, I realized that was in French. Hopefully that will help me with the algorithm so that this video does not get taken down. And I really don't need to do any more on the Pam Bondi Beach blanket bingo incident, because seeing that is the smoking gun. It is the red flag, if I could use that term, and it is a false flag. And it is very clear for those of us that have eyes to see. Right, friends, two of these events at once is a bit much for even yours truly to handle. And the reason I do this is because I want to put your mind at ease. I don't want you to feel as though anywhere you go, you are going to be a victim of some sort of mass event. It absolutely drives me bonkers when people are swept up and swept away by their emotions. The media and government love to terrorize people with the threat of danger and violence, especially around the holidays. Terrorized, fearful people are much easier to manipulate, and they are much more willing to accept and beg for tyranny and oppression if they are promised peace and safety. Now, are there actual criminals and actual crimes and actual shootings? Yes, yes, and yes. Crimes do happen. There are bad guys out there. We all know of real crimes that have occurred to people we know, maybe even to ourselves. I'm not minimizing that fact, but those crimes rarely make it into the headlines, and they are rarely sensationalized. It's the fake, phony, and fraudulent manufactured events that I'm talking about, with the same old tired storylines and the same old fake bad actors, the same old smiling witnesses, and the same old oppressive agenda. Often these things happen around an emotionally important time, like right before Thanksgiving. I didn't even have to cover the DC National Guard shooting. I hope you didn't fall for that one. And of course, leading up to the Christmas and Jewish holidays, like the Brown incident, the Bondi incident, Shady Nook back in the day. So you can be sure that whatever the puppet masters are up to, it is also to distract you from what is going on elsewhere. The media wants us focused on these events. They want us focused on these stories that they promote so that we don't see that the digital prison walls are going up around us. And people are more willing to buy into whatever new restrictions will be imposed upon them following the latest media manufactured mayhem. Hey, that has a little ring to it. I might start using that in the future. I'll be back with you with my next broadcast on Wednesday. I'm going to be telling you exactly why I expose these events, how I expose them, how I do my research, what I look for, so that you can do the same. And of course, as these are breaking stories, more information is released to us. So I'll be back with you on Wednesday. Everybody, get on my free Substack, peggyhall.substack.com. I've got a detailed write-up for you on this that you can read, you can comment on, and you can share it with others. See you in the next broadcast.